Hey guys, my name is Alex and thank you very much for stopping by. Really appreciate. And today I want to focus my efforts in trying to solve the previous algorithm, that was related to how to calculate a factorial number. And today I want to solve that problem using recursion. And I think that 2 or 3 or 4, I don't remember anymore, videos ago, we have solved this problem. I think that was related to prime number. My memory is terrible. And I think that was related to solving prime numbers using the sum of prime numbers using recursion or something like that. And today I want to solve the same problem, the factorial problem using recursion. And as I said before in the previous video, I don't want to go into much detail because I'm kind of thinking about creating a series or at least one video just going through some problems and examples with recursion and specific problems and drawbacks that you have when you choose to work with recursion. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. As you can see here, I'm still using this Ruby online compiler, which is great because you don't need to have the Ruby environment in your local machine. That's amazing. And as you can see, this is one of the versions that I have written in the previous video. And that's not that great because as you can see, we have local variables and you are changing the argument that you are receiving. We have 3 or 4 versions, walking through the all of the ways that you can solve this problem, and you can actually solve in a beautiful way using Ruby, this kind of Ruby way to solve things. But yeah, if you are coming from another language, let's say Java or JavaScript, for example, this is kind of easier to understand. It's a little bit more clear if you're coming from other languages. So as you can see, this is the factorial number. I'm just calculating the factorial number, and I have this number 5. That's our first example, and it should print out 120. And here you go. So it's working. Now the next step is, I don't know if I should kind of revisit what the factorial number is, but just to make sure that we are on the same page. You have, of course, you can go there and watch the previous video, but just a reminder here, just refresh a factorial number. Let's say that I want to calculate the factorial number of 5. And then what happens is that the pattern is very, very simple. You can just say that the factorial will be the number being multiplied by the number minus 1, which in this case is 4. And now you have 4, and 4 will be multiplied by 4 minus 1, which is 3, and then 3 minus 1, 2, and 2 minus 1. So the pattern is very, very, very simple. And what happens is that another way to solve that, when it comes to recursion, is that first of all, the recursion technique is when you have a big problem, and then you break that down into smaller problems. The same version of the bigger problem, but smaller problems. And then you solve these smaller problems, and you go back with the result, and you can solve the bigger problem. And this is like a divide and conquer technique where you are dividing things and solving all of these things, and then you can come back with the result and solve the bigger problem. So this is the technique, the recursion technique. But when it comes to coding, you actually have another strategy, which is a method that calls on itself. Which means that I have a factorial number, a factorial method, and the factorial method will call itself. That's it. That's what recursion is. So if you want to think about this algorithm, this logic, using this example, you can just say that, I'm going to comment another line here. I can just say that 5, a factorial 5, will be 5 being multiplied by the factorial of 4, because as you can see, factorial of 4 will be, let's put this again, factorial of 4 will be 4 being multiplied by 3, by 2, and by 1. Perfect. Now you can write the factorial of 4 in another way. You have factorial of 4 being factorial of 4 being multiplied by factorial of 3. So as you can see, you can calculate the smaller problem, you know, which is the factorial of the next number. That's very, very simple. Again, we have explored this concept in the previous video, 2-3 videos ago, and I'm gonna create another video just going through all of these amazing recursion things. So this is just a reminder. I'm going to remove this and let's create the method. So I'm going to create this def factorial and it should be the version 1. Let's say that this is the version 1 and it takes a number as an argument, number, and I'm going to close this out. And here we go. What happens is that the first thing that we know is that the method calls on itself, which means that I'm gonna say return factorial. In some way it will happen, right? So I'm going to remove just to go step by step here. The first thing that we need to do is that if we receive number and the number is 0, we already know that by definition the factorial of 0 is 1. So what I can do, I can just say, hey, if you receive 0, if you receive, then return 1 if number is equal to 0. So that's a great way to, this is kind of plain English, you know, you can just explain and express yourself in Ruby. That's great. And the next step is, if this number is not 0, if this number is greater than 0, you can just say, please return the number that you are receiving, which in this case is 5, and then this number will be multiplied by the factorial of this number minus 1. You know, that was that example, right? So you have 5 factorial, which is 5 being multiplied by 4 factorial, which is, in this case, 5 minus 1 factorial. That's it. So you already calling the number minus 1, you know, the next factorial. And that's it. That's simple as that, you know. If you just call this method, let me just remove this and remove that. I'm gonna keep this. And if you call this, let me see. Yes, it's working. You have the same result, you know, 120, which is fantastic. And you can also have a better way, a little bit better way to write that in Ruby. Let me say that this is the version 2 and I'm going to create a new factorial method, and let's take a number as an argument and close it out, and perfect. So you can just write this in one single and simple line. You can just say, hey, please, Ruby, if the number is equal to 0, this is a question, please return 1. Otherwise, yes, otherwise you can return number being multiplied by factorial number minus 1. And here you go. If we call this again, yes, it's working. So this is a pretty simple way to do that in Ruby, and actually you can have this the kind of the same strategy in Java, Python, JavaScript, whatever, you know. But that's, you know, a good way to use to create a recursive function calling itself. Yeah. So that's it. No, that was pretty simple, really very quick, and I hope that you like it. And please drop your comment below if you have another solution. And of course, when it comes to solving this type of algorithms, this type of problems, you have a lot of amazing logics, and drop your comment below if you have another different logic or a new way to solve that in Ruby, or a better way. This is not the best way to solve this, but this is one of good ways probably to solve this problem. Yeah, and see you in the next video.